Happy birthday if it's your birthday, happy belated birthday if it's in the past, happy future birthday if it's in the future. My name is Lime Green, and welcome to the Out of Time Podcast, the podcast where I, Lime Green, play games I've completely missed the boat on, like Five Nights at Freddy's, Mega Man Battle Network, and in this case, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. You guys have voted on it, and I'm finally sitting down and playing it. I feel like I've gotten pretty far. What do you think? Last time, we actually did a couple spider houses. Those exist in Majora's Mask, apparently. We helped the Spider-Man because he was cursed. He had a dog. We got the Mask of Truth. Big ups. And this episode, we're gonna be doing every side quest basically. And let's just get into it. So the first thing, it's not a side quest, just a little funny story. So I hit RXA. I'm playing on a 3DS, and I was trying to do the song Soaring, and my Deku mask came off, and I was like, what? And I did it again, and it went on, and then I did it again, and it came off. So I thought I discovered like some sort of, I don't know, developer workaround or something, and I was getting kind of excited that I discovered something that no one else had. And then I discovered that I just had the Deku mask mapped to X, and every time I hit RXA, I was just taking on and putting on the Deku mask and taking it off. So there's my story. So continuing on with the Anju and Cafe quest, not mask. Not yet. I asked people in town with the cafe mask. I'm thinking of the key mask. I wandered around town and I showed people the cafe mask, and people were like, I saw a fox kid wander around here delivering letters. And I was like, 400 IQ play, I'll just follow the mailman again. And I followed him, and he delivered letters to the Stockpot Inn lady, and she's like, whoa. I showed her the cafe mask, and she said, meet me in the kitchen, and at 11:30. But the Stockpot Inn closes at night, so this is like the biggest moral dilemma of my life. Well, not. It's a moral dilemma, and it's a physical dilemma, and it's like crazy. You don't understand how crazy this is. So you find out Agoron has a reservation for the Stockpot Inn, right? And then later on, after you talk with Anju, Agoron wanders in. He has the same name as your player character, Link in this case. And he's like, I'm Link. And Anju's like, oh, Link, here you go. So, if you talk to Anju as Link, say, hey, I'd like a reservation, then you've already messed up like the entire 3 days. She will not give you a reservation, except I think in the N64 version you're all good to go. You could just be like, hey, I'm the Goron. In the 3DS remake, they made it more sensible, because you could be like, just put on the Goron mask, and then be like, hey, I'm actually the Goron. And she has like bad eyesight. She's bad at remembering faces, that's what it is. And she's like, oh, you're a Goron? Here you go. Here's the keys. My thing was, I kept talking to her and being like, as Link, I kept being like, hey, I would like a reservation. She's like, oh, alright. And then I'll turn into Goron. She'll be like, enjoy the festival here. And I'd be like, alright. Hey, I'm a Goron. Can you mistake me for the other Goron? I'm Link. Can you give me the key? Please? Please and thank you. I was looking up guides. And of course, a lot of the guides are in the N64 version. People are just N64. I don't know what to call them. Diehards. Eventually, I got the keys. You get upstairs. There's like rupees in your room or something. There's nothing like too extravagant. You go downstairs. You wait till like the far reaches of the night. And then if you talk to her while she's coming in the kitchen, she's like, excuse me, I'm on a mission. And then she says, hey, can you deliver this letter to Cafe? And you're like, alright. And then it feels kind of like a time crunch, but I don't think it is. You gotta put it in the post box and then skip to the next day. And then you watch as the mailman delivers a letter in the mailbox. And as he... oh, dropped my pen cap. And he puts in the mailbox. And then, right as he puts in the mailbox, the Fox Kid, which you don't know as Cafe yet, he leaves the house. And that's when you just gotta run into his house. And then he comes in, and he doesn't question why you're there. Why you stuck in his house, but he's like, hey, I'm Cafe. Skull Kid turned me into a child. And my wedding mask, you know, what you always bring to weddings, was stolen. Then he gives you a pendant to give to Anju. You give that to Anju, and Anju's like, cool. And then, alright, so my notes get a little weird around this time. But basically, Cafe is waiting for the guy who stole his wedding mask. And he's like spying through like this little hole in the wall. And like every time you spy through, like time stops. So I knew you couldn't spy through for like extended amount of time. Like nothing would happen, if that makes sense. So sometime around there, I was like, alright, I don't want to redo all this again. And I just looked up a guide, and I think around there, I was like, alright, you gotta like follow the guy who stole his wedding mask, Sakon, and I think that's when I found like this Keaton hiding in the grass by where the robber is, and I answered all the questions right, and well, after a lot of trial and error, and they gave me a piece of heart. That was kind of weird. You go through. The robber is trying to sell the mask, and then you meet up in Cafe's little area. He's gone to Ikana Canyon, and then he leaves behind a Keaton mask and a special delivery to his mom, and he's like, give it, like, special deliver it, put it in urgent mail, so you can either deliver it to his mom personally, or you can deliver it to the mailman. And she's waiting for you to present something about the cafe quest. So, either way, you end up at the mail lady, who I didn't even know she was the postmistress. You end up at the bar, which I wonder if you didn't get Romani's the Romani mask, how would you get in there? Would you just end up there? I don't know. Would you just be allowed? So you go in there, and she's like, flee, get away from me, mailman. And you flee with the mailman, and the postman gives the postman's hat, and you're free to flee. And now you can check mailboxes. And you check one, and it gave me a piece of heart. And then I was like, alright, so what other items there? What other items and masks am I missing? I looked up, apparently I didn't even buy a bomb chew. So I bought a bomb chew. I checked the other quests I was missing, or rumors of quests. I could do the swordsman school, which is just like, I guess, the Skyward Sword swordsman school before the Skyward Sword swordsman school. You could, like, slash at logs, and you had to pay 1 rupee and then 10 rupees, and then jump attack for expert training. And you got a piece of heart. A lot of these just give you a piece of hearts. I'm expecting like a mask at the end of a quest, and it's just a piece of heart. I went into the shooting gallery, got a large quiver for 40 points, but then the quest didn't go away, so I kept that in the back of my mind. I went into the Honey and Darlings, bomb shoot target bowling, and that was, let me just say, they are crazy. You gotta, like, how do I explain it? Like, the platform is rotating. You have to throw the bomb shoes, and it's going up on the walls, and you need precise aiming, and the bomb shoes are always just like a little off, and it's also on the time limit, and Link sometimes walks off the edge, and then you have to pay too. So once you do that and lose like 1 billion rupees, then you open up a quest that says 3 days. So then it's like, oh man, you gotta do 2 more days. I had a quest for the Marine Research Lab, and it just said, fish eat smaller fish. So I was like, huh, are you talking about my seahorse friend? Haha. And So I went to the... try to talk to the seahorse friend, and nothing really came of that. And then I went underwater with Zora Link to see if I could bottle fish underwater. I can't bottle the fish underwater. So I was thinking, I was like, alright, where else can I get fish? I was like, well, in Ocarina of Time, you can buy bottles of fish. I was like, alright, let's go to Clock Town. And I went around town. There was no bottles of fish. Alright. Well, where would there be bottles of fish if there would be? Zora Cape. So I go there, walk around, there's no bottles of fish. I'm like, what is this mission? So, what did I do? I looked it up. You had to go back to the Stockpot Inn, like sneak back in to the kitchen. You didn't even need to like do the whole quest thing. But in the kitchen, there's like a pool of water, and you had to bottle up a fish. A single fish, because there's only one. And then leave, and then bottle up another fish. And then... yeah, I'm checking my notes. The crazy part was, once you would feed the fish in the Marine Research Lab, there's 2 fish, and you have to get the exact fish to eat the smaller fish twice. Because if the other fish eats the smaller fish, then you're out of luck, buddy. And the thing is, you want one fish to eat 2 smaller fish, and then eat the other fish that did not eat the smaller fish, and then it would give you a piece of heart, so not even a mask, which I was hoping for. So on the second day of the 3-day mini game, Honey and Darling thing, it's an easier mini game, I'll admit. Bomb skip ball. They just give you a bunch of bombs and you gotta throw it through hoops. Very easy. Or very easier than the bomb chew stuff. And then they give you a fishing hole pass. I'm just acquiring fishing hole passes everywhere. So, wait, hold on. So, before I realized about the Stockpot Inn thing, I was like, let's go fishing. Let's get fish through fishing. I knew there was one other thing. So I went and I fished with my fishing hole pass. And I caught one 7-inch Termina Loach and then one 10-inch Termina Loach. And I was fishing with the Deku mask, and it was a great time. I did at the swamp fishing hole, and you still can't get fish that way. It was insane. There's no way to get fish in Majora's Mask, I'm sorry. So the 3rd day of gaming, or whatever it's called, it's just you spinning around on the central platform, shooting targets with your arrows. It's like the forest dungeon in the forest dungeon with the plant, where you have to nail an arrow through the torch. That's basically what it is. If you can do that, you can do this. And I did it first try, which is crazy. I got a piece of heart from that. So the shooting gallery quest was not clear, and I was like, alright. So I basically went through everything, Let's get this done. So my last score for that was 40 points. They want you to get a clear 50. Perfect. And oh man, I messed up on the thumbnail. Should have been. Alright, so my initial plan for the thumbnail was gonna be just Octorox and Alf. You know, the cartoon character. Maybe we'll do it in post, but you can't say they don't look at least similar. But I kept getting hung up on just like 1 or 2, and they demand perfection from you. And then it got to a point where they're like, oh, well, you missed one, 10 rupees. Well, you missed another, 10 rupees. Like, for every record you broke, they would give you purple rupees, but every record you couldn't break, they would take away some. And then I believe at the end they would give you a piece of heart. I know I didn't write that part down. Just from looking at everything else, I'm pretty sure a piece of heart. So the next one, I believe, was the Zora Pot minigame. That took forever. You had to stand in a certain spot as Zora Link and be like, whoosh, 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 and then cut all the pots at the exact same time. If you get really good, people say you can like farm that for rupees, but I just wanted to be done with that. You just got rupees for that, but you also get charged if you don't break them in one go. So I was practicing with 0 rupees because they would just fix all the pots free of charge if you have 0 rupees. So that's nice, I guess. And then the last minigame I did was the treasure chest minigame, which I didn't even know existed until I heard a bomber talking about it. It's like a maze of sorts, and the girl in there, apparently she likes Gorons, but not enough to charge them less. If you go in there as Goron Link, she charges you 30 rupees, but if you go on there as Link, you get charged 20 rupees. You get to the end and you get a piece of heart. You go at the end a second time, you just get rupees. So those are all the little extra stuff I did. I wanted to end this with all the bottles I got, because I got sick of getting fish with no bottles and looking at all the empty item spots. So one you could get by delivering the special letter to Madame Maroma. That one's pretty easy. You just gotta go through the entire Anju and Cafe quests again. Instead of delivering the letter to the mailman, you gotta deliver it to Madame Maroma in the bar, and she's like, oh, here you are, and she gives you a bottle. The other one, talk to Gorman of the troop, with the troop leader mask, and he's sad, so you gotta talk to his brothers. Well, I'd be sad too if I saw someone wearing my face crying. and and you gotta talk to his brothers, and they're like, "Here's some mystery milk. Oh, cheer him up. Don't ask what it is." So you gotta bring him mystery milk, and you can't warp back to Clocktown, and you can't become Goron Link. It's kind of like that one quest in Ocarina of Time. It's like a couple quests in Ocarina of Time. What did I do? I think I just rolled. Was it that difficult? But it was a nice little mix-up, I guess. I'll save the craziest one for last. Other bottle I got was Kume's target shooting. It's just the witch in the forest. You save her. She opens up a raft business. I tried to say visit and business at the same time. And in the swamp, and then you just gotta shoot all the targets. I did I feel like I did 50 or something. I don't know. I did well over the amount for a bottle. The last one. So every time you go to Zora Cape, people are talking about beavers. So I was like, all right, let's check it out. You hookshot up to these trees, and then you hookshot even further and climb into this cave, and it's like a Super Mario Sunshine world. It takes you off to another dimension, and you splash into this water. And there's a beaver here, and the beaver's like, "Hey, if you can beat me in a race, I'll give you a bottle." Sure. You go Zora Link mode on him. You race past him. Very easy quest. All of a sudden, his brother comes out. His brother's like, "If you beat me in a race, then you'll get your bottle." All of a sudden, he starts changing the rules. Like, who are you? The beaver brother is crazy. I don't think it would be so bad if you could go through the rings. Because the whole thing is, you gotta swim through the rings. But sometimes when the rings appear up top, you jump up and then you can land on a ring. I think it would be better if you could just, phase through it. I don't know. But especially you gotta slow down a bit, because if you miss the ring, it ain't gonna reappear back in front of you. You have to go back and go through it again. And the beaver does not slow down and wait for you. He's plowing ahead. You have to beat him in a race. So eventually you beat the beaver brother. You get a bottle, and then you realize you have to beat him again. Both of them, both the beaver brothers, but just for a piece of heart. That's when I called it quits. I was like, just for a piece of heart. I'm going for the items. I'm going for the masks. You guys can have your piece of heart fun. So that's when I called it an episode.